0.5 clone 2. What is the difference between them? What is the difference between them? Do you know the difference? Let me tell you. So if you apply these command to generate data, generate x data, that means you will get x value like this: 0, 1, 2. Okay, according to this code you will get these x data 0, 1, 2, and based on this code you will get x data like this: 0, 0.5, 1.0, 1.5, and 2. Now is it clear to you?
Yes,
For getting very smooth curve, you have to generate sufficient data. Suppose you have these three data, so for each x data you will get some y data, right? So that means you have only 3 points. Suppose one is here, another is here, another is here. So how look like this graph? Try to plot this line or graph. Try to plot the curve that I already have done. This is just try to plot it randomly because I don't know exactly y value here. So suppose this could be a curve. Okay, could be a curve of y. You have only 3 data based on this code. Next, if you apply this code to generate x data, how many data you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, isn't it? So now you have 5 data with you. Suppose one is here, 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 isn't it? So if you draw this curve will be more smooth, isn't it? Look at here, this curve will be more smooth like this one. That means for getting a smooth curve, very smooth curve, you have to generate sufficient data. Suppose you generate only okay, let me show you. Suppose you generate only 2 data. One is here, another is here. So add this point together. So just draw this line, a straight line between these 2 points. But if you get more data, like one is here, another is here, another is here, another is here, another is here. Suppose these are more predictable data that you generated already. So you will get more smooth curve, isn't it? Previously you got this one, isn't it? And if you generate more sufficient data, then you can get a very smooth curve. So you already, I think, know about the uses of a printf. So when you apply a printf, then you can get that means you will see these mentioned variable name in command window. Okay, then if you apply display DISP of transpose of x, transpose of y, that means this one, x bar, y, x prime, y prime, That means this is nothing but transpose of x and transpose of y. So you will get these data in display. And if you would like to store these getting data, then you can use a variable name. It could be any name. Then in this variable name, you can easily store x and y data in column wise. So when you have to store any data in column wise, you have to apply transpose symbol. Otherwise you will get row wise data and you won't be able to store all data together for different variables. That means you can store x data simple as z on variable. In z on variable you can store x data. That means you can get these x data in row wise 0, 0 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, isn't it? But if you apply x prime, then you can get column wise data. And you can't store x and y data row wise together, but you can store variable values in column wise together by using this prime symbol for respected variables. So here is plot command. So you already know how do we apply this plot command. So you can modify these data representation or data presentation. You can modify somewhere. Suppose you write somewhere plot, then x comma y comma, then dot line. Then you have to use here inverted comma. Then suppose you would like to color this line, so you have to mention the color of line. So if you use R, then you can get red line dash dash, okay, red dash dash line. That means you can get like this graph. Okay, you get this type of graph. If you apply here a star symbol or cross symbol, then y, that means you will get yellow colored graph. So you can get yellow color a star a star a star data. That means each data defined by a star symbol. So sometimes you can modify your code. So now come to this point. Suppose I give you a function and I ask you to draw the function or plot the function in this region. So what is the meaning of this provided region? The meaning is this is the initial value of x and this is the ending value of x, and this is the initial value of x. So this information gives you initial value of independent variable and ending value of independent. X is independent variable, y is dependent variable, because for each x value you can get y value. So you have only ending point and initial point. Suppose you have, okay, let me draw here. Suppose you have x-axis, y-axis, here is 0. So you see -4 and 4. So suppose -4 here 4 here. So you have to generate data between these initial and ending value. That means you have to generate few data that should be sufficient to draw this graph. If you generate X data, for each X data you will get Y data, isn't it? This is X. That means X values belongs to this horizontal axis and Y values are represented in vertical axis. So for each X data you will get Y data. So you can easily plot this X and Y data by using plot command. What is about grid on? So grid on is nothing but this is the scaling, inside scaling, nothing else. Grid on, that means you will get inside scaling like this. These are known as grid. If you don't apply grid on, that means you will get only X and Y data in 2D. You you don't see you don't see any grid inside this region. So look at here, this here grid on, here I use grid on, so you see inside scaling in this region. Now I would like to show you how do we plot 3D graph. So it depends on parameter. So if you do this problem, how many parameter exist here? X, Y, isn't it? X, Y. That means you only get X and Y data. You only will get X and Y data, so that you can easily plot 2D graph. If you get somewhere this type of equation or function, suppose f of xy, this is equal to 4 minus x square minus y square. So how many independent variable exist here? X and y, isn't it?
Yes.
X and y. So here you can define this function in new variable or as a new variable z. This is equal to 4 minus x square minus y square. So if you generate x data and y data, then you can get z value for each xy data. Suppose you generate x value, y value. Suppose x value can be generated by using linspace. Okay, this command. So you will get some x value. And somewhere you mention this relation between x and y. So if you don't get any relation between x and y in the question, so it's up to you. You can consider any relation between x and y. Suppose you can use here y equal to 2 times x. This is the relation between x and y. Because I don't give you here any relation between x and y, and also I don't mention anywhere what type of value will be possible for x and y, isn't it? So you can choose the relation between x and y, or sometimes you can generate y data like this, as linspace these data. So you can apply linspace command to generate y data. Suppose y data start from 10, end exactly 15, and how many data you would like to generate, suppose 50. Okay, so be careful, the dimension should be same. If you don't get same dimension of variable, you won't be able to plot this data. Suppose you see here 50, that means 50 number of points you would like to generate. So if you write here somehow 40 except 50, if you write anything here except this number, then you won't be able to plot this data in 3D or in 2D. So why I say here 2D. So is it possible to plot 2D? Yes, it's possible. So how? So for each x and y value, you will get z value, isn't it? So if we want to look at the pattern x and z data, so how do we plot it? We can apply plot x comma z, isn't it? If you would like to see the pattern of data y and z, so we can mention here plot y comma z, then we can get 2D graph, isn't it? We can get 2D graph. If you would like to get x, y, z data together, if you would like to plot also or draw these x, y, z data together, so here you have to mention here plot 3D as a command to draw these XYZ data together. So this is your x-axis, this is your y-axis, and this is your z-axis. Okay, and here you see 0, 0. This is 0, 0 point. So y value start from 10 and 50, and x value start from suppose minus 5 and end exactly 5, and you can get z value based on this x and y data. So you get 50 number of points here, from here to here 50 number of points, from here to here 50 number of points, because you mention here the number of data that you would like to generate here. So is it clear to you? Next, if you would like to construct any function in command window, so function in new script also. So what is the difference? If you construct any function in command window, you see exactly this symbol. Let me, okay, I need to select pen. Don't worry. So if you construct any function in command window, you get this symbol at the beginning, isn't it? Then you have to mention functional name. Suppose if this is equal to, you have to give a command. The command is inline. Then inside this first bracket, you have to write the function. Isn't it? When you press enter button, you will get this functional expression. Suppose you would like to get this functional value for a specific point. So how do we get it? So already you construct this function in command window. Now you can get the specific value of this function for, you can get the value of function for given point. So solution, this is equal to, so how do we get the value of this function for a specific x and y value? So you have to write here, you have to call this function, you have to write functional name. So what it is? F. Inside this first bracket, you have to insert variable values. Suppose x equal to 1, y equal to 2. So if you write this on, if you mention the variable values inside this calling function, then you will get the functional value. That means you can apply inline command to construct function. So same inline command you can apply to construct function in NuScript. So if you write in NuScript, if you write this code in NuScript, you have to avoid this symbol. This is only difference. And another difference you can get already, like you can modify the written code anytime if you write the code in NuScript. So here is another command to construct function. So what is about alpha argument list? What is about argument list? This is nothing but these are the variables, isn't it? And here you have to write the provided function. So suppose you have this function z equal to x squared plus x divided by y. So how do you construct this function in command window? Yeah, you already see the process to construct of any function in command window. This one. If you press enter button, you will get this is the outcome. Okay. So next, if you would like to construct the same function in NuScript, what you should to do, you have to write this code like this. So you have to define the functional name. Suppose f is a functional name. This is equal to @ inside this first bracket you have to mention the independent variable, so x and y. Then exactly next you have to write this function with maintaining the rules. Okay, so x divided by y. Next, you already stored this function and you already constructed. Okay, that's it. So next I would like to find functional value at x equal to 1 and y equal to 0.1. So how do we find this value? You have to call this function at beginning, then inside this first bracket you have to mention x and y value. If you press enter button, then you will get outcomes. If you use here semicolon and run this code, then yeah, if you write this code in NuScript, then you have to click a run button. Okay. Again, if you run this code by using semicolon here, then you can get this result in workspace. So you can apply these process to construct any function. Next, how do you get any outcome including decimal, like in decimal form? How do you get, isn't it? How do you get any number in decimal form? Like look at here. Eval, you can apply eval command to get decimal form of a number. So you already know what is about M-file, what is about the construction process of any function, how these open icon works, save icon works, run icon works, edit icon works, isn't it? So you already know that. So here is the sample of a problem where you have to get the functional value 5 times. Suppose you have a function y equal to 7 times cos x plus 2 times x minus 1. Suppose you have this function and I would like to get this y value 7 times. That means for each x value we have to get y value, but this code will execute 7 times. 7 times. Suppose you generate x data. What it is? 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. So you can apply here loop. So you can apply for loop, you can apply while loop. So the number of loop, this is the number of loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means 5 times this code will execute. So for x value, for each x value, you will get y value, isn't it? So in previous case, you have seen I give you only one x point and y value. That means one x value, one y value. I give you, isn't it? But if I give direction to generate 5x data and predict y data for each x data. So how do you write it? The code. For this case, you can apply loops. That means you can execute same code, or you can execute same code for the required number of times. Suppose here n max, I loop start from 1. You can define this loop start from 1, so you have to write here variable. So for variable that are used in loop, that can be written I, j, k. So you can use here I, you can use here j, you can use here k. And remember, if you apply here I to define the loop execution, you don't apply anywhere I for other purpose outside the loop. So it depends on situation. Sometimes you can use this one, but be careful. Don't use anywhere like I equal to 1. No, you can't write, you can't mention I equal to anything outside for loop, because you already apply here I for execution of this loop. Remember. So you can use I, j, k, either I or j or k for loop execution. That means you can control this loop by using the symbol I, j, k. It could be I, it could be Z, it could be K. There is no difference at all. So suppose you would like to find, suppose you would like to write this code like this: Z equal to 1 to n max. So you can write n except n max, it's up to you, but you have to mention outside of this loop this number n max, otherwise this code won't be work at all. Suppose this is 5, and remember these numbers should be greater than initial value. If you write here 0, so this code doesn't have any meaning. So next, fx, this is equal to f of x. So what is about f of x? You have to mention f of x earlier. What is about? Suppose this one, 7 times cos of x plus 2 times x minus 1. Okay. Next, this n value is executed like this: I minus 1. Then display this n, and that means this iteration number. This is the iteration number, nothing else. So if you want, you can avoid to write these steps. If you understand, then you can avoid it. This is the number of execution, nothing else. So suppose here n equal to I minus 1. That means this n start from 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Isn't it? Because you write here n equal to I minus 1. So actually I need to inform you, if you apply Z to control the loop, so you have to write here Z everywhere where you need. So what is about n, then x, then fx, and you have to enclose this code by first bracket, and then x equal to x plus s, and then you just close this loop by writing end. That means the loop is ended right now. So you will get the outcome that is written here. Let me erase these writings, then you can see the code here. So you get here the number of execution that is stored in n 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the number of execution, and for each x value you will get functional value that is stored. So you can plot this data by using plot command. Here you already have seen the uses of for loop, so you can apply while loops if you want. And sometimes I can ask you, or this could be a requirement to check the code and find the errors of the code. Sometimes I can write any code in wrong way, so you have to find wrong line where exactly I have done a wrong, I have implemented a wrong code. So in any question you can get similar type you can get similar type requirement. Yes, so what we should do, suppose you have to find the factorial n value. So these n could be 5, could be 10, could be 1, could be 0, could be any number. So what is the code? So if you write this code, you will get the required outcome. So how this code works, let me show you. So same code that I wrote here, so be careful. So if you write n equal to input, if you apply this command input, that means you have to input the required factorial value. So what do you see here? Please input the number. Why you see this message? Because you write this message exactly inside this first bracket for input command. That means you have to input here the factorial value. That means what is the required factorial. So if you write 5, suppose you write 5, so what do you get? 120. If you press enter, then you will get this factorial value. Anyway, if you ignore to write the semicolon here, so what do you get? Just press same value and then you will get the outcome. That means this factorial value is displayed in command window. If you write the number exactly here and press enter sign, that means next line should be executed after writing or mention these input value. So next you can see some conditional statement, if and end. If end, this is conditional statement. So here is the expression of conditional statement. Here you should write the condition, and if this condition is true, then this code will works. Otherwise you can't see any execution outcome, because if this statement is not true, how this code works, that means how MATLAB software gives you outcome by execution this command. Okay, let me show you. Suppose this is the command. Okay, suppose this is the command to am I able to write it? Yes. Okay, suppose this is the condition, if I less than or equal 10, and yes, you have to apply first bracket to write the expression as a condition. Next, just print print y. So you have to write y. What is about y? Y equal to 2 times I. Okay, 2 times I. So y equal to 2 times I, then you have to print y value. So this is the command, print this y value, then end. That means you just apply here if conditional statement. So if you write, okay, so you have to mention here I, because I less than or equal 10. So if you write here 1, if you mention or I equal to 1, then only you can get y equal to 2. In command window you will get 2 value. You can see only 2. But if you write here 11, you can't see anything in command window. So you can write print nothing. Then if you write here 11, you can see nothing in command window. If you write here 10, you can see y value, that means 20 in command window. Similarly, you apply somewhere if else statement. If else if statement. So if this condition is not true, then move on this condition. If this condition is also not true, then MATLAB find this command, work with this command, and give the outcome. What is the uses of break and error? So somewhere you can use this break command. If you apply somewhere break, so suppose you just write here break. How this break command works? So this code execute one by one, and suppose this statement is true. So this code works through this command. If this is not true, then move on next expression, that means next condition, and then work with this command. And after working with this command, you get outcome directly. No other line will be executed if you write break anywhere. That means next lines should not be executed because already you mention here break command. That means execution will be stopped here. Then you will get outcome. Here is the problem. Suppose you have an equation. So how do you solve it? So you have to predict what type of equation it is. Is it differential equation? Is it simple equation? So you see here, this is an equation only, and this is non-linear equation. It doesn't matter is it non-linear or linear. You have to predict, is it differential equation or simple equation. So you get this is a simple equation. That means you don't get any derivative that exists in this equation. So you can apply solve command. So how do you solve this equation? So you have to apply solve. This s should be a small s, okay? Solve, then x cap square minus 5 times x, then plus a, and instead of equal sign you have to write double equal, then 0, then comma x. So this is the command. So MATLAB are not able to understand what is about x and a. So you have to write a equal to any value. It could be any value, we don't know. It depends on the requirement of examiner. So if examiner defines somewhere a value, so you should write a value at beginning, exactly before using this command, because you apply a is here, so you have to define a exactly before the uses of this line. So next, so a, what is about a? This is arbitrary constant. That's okay. That should be okay based on this question. So you have to mention sy ms. That means here you have to write independent variable and any other constant that should be provided next. Otherwise, MATLAB couldn't find what is about a, what is about x. Alright, so you can get the solution after run this code. So next, this is another problem. Here you have to solve differential equation. Yes, you will be able to solve differential equation by writing this code. So this is the code up to this line. That means here, 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 here. These are the codes. This is the command dsolve that you should apply here to solve this differential equation. What is the meaning of dy? So dy is nothing but this is the first time derivative of y with respect to x, because x is independent variable. So you have to write beginning at least earlier these steps s y m s y of x. Y is dependent variable, x is independent variable. Then you have to write dy equal to diff of y. This is the mathematical expression and this is the code to implement this mathematical expression in MATLAB software. So similarly, you can write a d to y. That means this is the first time differentiation of y with respect to x. So you have to write 2 because you just mentioned here 2 times derivative of y with respect to x. So suppose you get y triple prime. So what you should to write here next d3y. This is equal to diff y comma 3. That means this y should be differentiated 3 times with respect to y. So you will get required outcome. Yes, look at here. So you can think, okay, what is about C3, C4? What is about C3, C4? These are arbitrary constant, nothing else. So if I give you somewhere the arbitrary constant value and if I ask you to find the solution of this differential equation, so you have to apply the arbitrary constant in this getting solution, then you will get required outcome. So here is the decimal place, significant figure, rounding. So what is about decimal place? So the number of digits counted after the decimal marker. So suppose 3.259. So this is the decimal marker. What is about significant figure? What is the significant figure? So if I ask you to find the number up to 3 decimal places, so you have like 2 decimal places. So how do you get this number up to 2 decimal places? 3.26. So this is the significant number. You can do rounding of this number. So you already know what is the process to rounding any number. So suppose I would like to get this number up to 2 decimal places. So you have to do here rounding operation. So what it is? So next to decimal marker, you have to select 2 digit, this on. So next this digit, you get this digit that is greater than 5. So one number should be added with this earlier value. So you can get 3.26. So sometimes I can give you true value, absolute value, and I might ask you to calculate absolute error. So just do this operation. In code you can write like this: ABS inside first bracket you have to write here true value minus approximate value, then you will get the absolute error. And yes, you have to define earlier true value and approximate value, otherwise this code won't find what is about true value, what is about approximate value. Similarly, you can apply this formula to find relative error, and you can apply this formula to find percentage of error. Suppose you get a relative error, this is 3.25, isn't it? This is relative error. Sometimes you can get by doing some operation based on the provided true value and approximate value. Alright, if I don't give you any true value, approximate value, but I should give you relative error, otherwise how do you calculate percentage of error? So you have relative error directly, sometimes you can get. So you can apply this formula. So what do you get? 3.25 times 100. So what do you get finally? What do you get finally? 3 to 5%, isn't it? This is the percentage of error. This is the percentage of error. So if you do this operation, what do you get? 3 to 5 divided by 100. So you can write here 3.25, isn't it? Sorry, this is not 3.25. Okay, you can get like this. This is the outcome percentage of error. Sometimes you can get relative error. So by using this formula, you can get the percentage of error. What it is? This is the record outcome. Next steps. So here sometimes you have to find maximum absolute error. In previous case, you got absolute error, relative error, isn't it? Now you somewhere you have to find maximum absolute error. So what it is? It depends. It depends. It depends on the provided number and the provided information of rounded to decimal places. So suppose you have this number 2.326. This is the given or provided number, and you already have this information. This number should be rounded to 3 decimal places, and you have to find maximum absolute error. You have to find maximum absolute error. So maximum absolute error depends on these information. So what is about half times 10 to the power minus this number? You will get maximum absolute error. And when you get maximum absolute error, you can get true value of these provided number. So how do you calculate true value? So true value can be calculated by using these relation, these provided number plus minus this maximum absolute error. So you get true value, and true value should be lie between the number. How do you get this number? 2.326 minus 0.0005. So you will get this number. And if you add 0.0005 with 2.326, that means provided number, you will get this value 2.3265, and true value exactly lie between these two numbers. And remember the relation, this value is less than equal to true value less than this value. If I ask you to find maximum relative error, and yes, of course, I should give you the significant figure value. So look at here, if I give you a number that is rounded to n significant figure, then only you will be able to predict maximum relative error by using this formula, half times 10 to the power minus n plus 1. So this is the maximum relative error. That is another problem where you have to write a code to solve this quadratic equation, and you have to find these outcome. That means the solution of this quadratic equation in a significant digit or with significant digit. So if you write somewhere, if you mention the significant digit, root to n significant digit, so you have to mention significant digit. Do you would like to get 5 digit next to decimal marker or 2 digit next to decimal marker? Then you have to mention here. Then only you will get required answer. So here is the some exercise. Home as much as you can. If you face any type of difficulty, just let me know. These are the please do practice a lot. So if you want, you can go through this textbook, you can go through this another book, please. If you want, you can go through this book and please practice a lot. You can get more information in these reference books related to uses of MATLAB software, how this code executes, how do we solve any type of problems, how do you get error message, how do we solve this error by reading the message from the software. Lot of things you need to learn. So next, here here you have to solve a system of linear equations. So how do you solve it? You can apply Gaussian elimination. You can apply Gaussian elimination. So what is the process? You have to select first pivotal equation. You have to select pivotal equation at the beginning. So pivotal equation could be 3, could be 4, could be 5. It depends on the number of unknown parameters that exist in the provided system of linear equation. Suppose you have these 3 linear equations. So how many unknown parameters exist here? 3. That means you have 3 pivotal equations. So now this is time. How do we select a pivotal equation? Because we have to select 3 pivotal equations. So at beginning, you have to know what is about pivotal equation. So look at this sample question 4. The equation with maximum numerical coefficient of that variable in the provided system, this is called pivotal equation. So what is the meaning of it? What is the meaning of it? What is the meaning of it? Suppose you have 3 equations. So let me write it down. Same equation. It will be easy to understand. To analyze the okay, it will be very fruitful if I select same provided system, then it will be easy for you to understand. That's it. So here, look at here, 8 times x plus 3 times y, so 8 10 6 3 7 4. 8 10 6 3 7 4. Then minus 5 to 7. So minus 5 to 7. This is the equation. So let's see what is next to equal sign. 3 3 3 4 8. So 3 4 8. So here you have to apply Gaussian elimination to find the solution of the system of linear equation. So this is the main equation. So you have to select first pivotal equation. So how do you select it? So since you get the order of unknown parameters that is given to you, three currents x, y, z, that means at first you have to consider x is a considered variable, next considered variable should be y, and next considered variable should be z. So according to this order, you have to think about the coefficient of x. Which one will be maximum that is given in this main equation? What is the maximum coefficient of x? From these three equations, what is the maximum coefficient of x? 8, 10, 6. Which one will be maximum? 10, isn't it? Why you don't respond?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the maximum coefficient of x. So where exactly these coefficient exist? In equation 2. So this equation 2 moves on first position. So 10 times x plus 7 times y plus 2 times z, this is equal to 4. And you have to write other or remaining equation as usual. So let me write them down here. Because our target is, at first we have to select first pivotal equation, then we have to move on further calculation to reduce the eliminate, that means to reduce the variable or eliminate the variable, that means we have to discard the variable. So later I will show you how do we do it. 6 times x plus 4 times y plus 7 times z, this is equal to 8, isn't it? So how do we get pivotal equation? So yes, this will be pivotal equation. So you have to do now this operation. What it is? You have to divide each equation by the coefficient of x in the respected equation. Suppose this is equation 1, isn't it? Suppose now this is your equation. Suppose this is 4, this is 5, this is 6. So now next step B, you have to divide equation 4. You have to divide equation 4 by 10. You have to divide equation 5 by the coefficient 8. You have to divide equation 6 by this coefficient 6. So you will get x here, you will get 0.7y here, you will get 0.2z here, you will get 0.4 value here. Similarly, you can get x value here, then some value with y, then some value with z, then constant value. Similarly, from 6 equation, you will get x plus some value with y, some value times z, this is equal to constant value. This is known as first pivotal equation. This equation is known as first pivotal equation. Next step B, you have to deduct x variable from these two equations. So how do you deduct it? How do you deduct it? That means you have to make 0 here, you have to make 0 here. get x plus 0 times 7y plus or minus, let's say plus 0.2z, this is equal to 0.4. So from first pivotal equation you get this one, and you get 0 here plus some value times y plus some value times z, this is equal to constant value. Then 0 here plus some value times y plus some value times z, this is equal to some constant value, isn't it? Now you get 0 value below x, 0 value below x. Next step B, you have to select these two equations, this one and this one, and between these equations you have just compare these equation, and you have to select second pivotal equation. So we saw which variable will be considered as a next variable. Y. Exactly. So you have to pick this value and this value or number, then compare which one will be maximum. So when you get maximum coefficient of y, you should do the same operation here. So suppose this value divided by same value here, same value, okay? Suppose here according to this problem, let's see what is the value. This one minus 0.325. So minus 0.325. Okay, so you have to divide this equation by minus 0.325. So what will be the next? This value minus 0.825. So minus 0.825 divided by this number minus 0.325, isn't it? So here y is a considered variable, here z is another considered variable, that is equal to some value here divided by this value. Remember, you have to divide this equation by the coefficient of maximum coefficient of considered variable. Which one will be the maximum coefficient of considered variable? So minus 0.325. So this equation is now second pivotal equation. And remember, this one was first pivotal equation. Now you have second pivotal equation, isn't it? What is the coefficient of considered variable in first pivotal equation and second pivotal equation?
Ma'am, x and y.
Now, what is the coefficient? What is the coefficient of considered variable in first pivotal equation? This 10. Is 1.
Sorry.
1, because I ask you what is the coefficient of considered variable from first pivotal equation. So from first pivotal equation we can get the coefficient of considered variable x is 1, isn't it? Because we considered x is a solving variable according to the order of variables that you can see in the question. So the coefficient of x is 1. Look at this second pivotal equation. What is the coefficient of considered variable? What is about the coefficient of considered variable? This one, exactly 1, isn't it? So what we should to do next? So you get somewhere this value any coefficient of y from this equation. So what we should to do? We have to make this element 1. So let me do it. So suppose you get some value here, then you have to divide this equation by this number. so that you can get 1. Then times y plus, suppose here any other value, it could be any value based on the calculation, divided by this value. That times z, this is equal to this value divided by this same value. Okay, so you get now first pivotal equation, second pivotal equation, and another equation, that means third number equation. So what will be the next process? These element should be transferred into 0. How do we transfer it? If you do subtraction operation between these two equations, then you will get 0 value here, isn't it? You will get 0 value here. So finally you get z times any constant value. And unless you get the coefficient of z is 1, you have to do the operation. That means you have to divide z equal to constant value by the coefficient of z. So this will be the third pivotal equation. So when you get first pivotal equation, second pivotal equation, third pivotal equation, and if you get, if you would like to get x value, you should substitute y and z value in first pivotal equation, because in first pivotal equation we considered x is a chosen variable, isn't it? In second pivotal equation, y is considered as a chosen variable, and in third pivotal equation, y is considered as a chosen variable. So if you have z value, then you have to substitute the z value in second pivotal equation, you will get y value. So now you have y and z value, just substitute y and z value here in first pivotal equation, then you can get x value. So that process is called back substitution. That has been given here, and all direction is given to you to do the same calculation. So this is not required to make the table. If you want, you can do manually. That means you can follow every step to get first pivotal equation, second pivotal equation, third pivotal equation. Okay, so is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
I would
Yes,
like
ma'am.
to hear more response. Do you have any problems?
No, ma'am, not right now. Okay.
Okay, so anyway, if you face any problem in practicing time, just let me know, and please mention the problem or steps where exactly you are stuck. So next sub question is, you have to justify your getting answer. So you already have x, y, z value, right? So this is z value, this is x value, and this is y value. How do we justify the getting answer as a solution of the system of linear equation? So if you substitute these x, y, z value in left hand side of, if you substitute x, y, z value in any equation from the main equation, so just select first equation, just substitute x here, y here, z here. If you get any number that is close to 3 value, then you can draw conclusion. Okay, we got correct x, y, z value. That means we already solved correctly the system of linear equation. So you can select second equation and third equation to justify your and getting answer. Just substitute the left hand side of equation on, substitute x value, y value, z value in left hand side of equation on, then you get 3.01, and this is very close to 3 equivalence, isn't it? The error is very less here, so you can draw conclusion. Yes, we get correct result. And here is the code that you can write to solve any system of linear equation. You can write this code in MATLAB software. So look at these provided equations, isn't it? So next, 10x plus 7y plus 2z, this is equal to 4. Then 6x plus 4y plus 7z, this is equal to 8. So these are the provided equation. So from this equation you can store some value, store the coefficient of x, y, z from equation on in this variable a. So you have to write the coefficient of x, coefficient of y, coefficient of z from equation 1. Let me write it down here, 3 minus 5. Then you have to apply semicolon. Then you have to check the coefficient of x, y, z from equation 2. Let's write them down here, 10, 7, 2. Then you have to apply semicolon. Next, you have to store the coefficient of x, y, z from third number equation, 6, 4, 7. Then close these stored value, and you have to apply here semicolon to separate this line from the next line. So in b variable you can write the constant value, you can store them, 3, 4, 8, and you have to separate this constant value by using semicolon. Alright, next, if you do this operation a backslash b, so what is about this b? This a comes from here, this b comes from here. So if you run this code, you will get x value, y value, and z value. That can be, you can see this value directly in command window. That means you can't see x, y, z, you see some numeric value in command window. So if you store these outcome in a new variable name like solution, then go to workspace, then you can get these solution that is stored in the name solution. Okay, just go to workspace. If you define somewhere a new variable name where you have to store the outcomes according to this code. So please try to practice this exercise problem. Okay, and these are the homeworks. Let's see what is the time right now. I think class time is over, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I think this is enough for today. So in next class, I will tell you how do we solve any system of linear equation by using iterative method. All right. So okay. So thank you everyone. See you next class.